Good evening and welcome to the Dania Beach City Commission regular meeting. It is Tuesday, September 12th, 2017. I'm at 7 p.m. Call the roll, please.
Mayor James.
Here.
Vice Mayor Harris.
Here.
Commissioner Brandemart.
Here.
Commissioner Grace. Here. City Manager Baldwin.
Here.
City Attorney Ansbro.
Here.
And Commissioner Salvino will not be here this evening.
Okay. We'd like to take a moment of silence. Could you please bow your heads? Thank you. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening, everyone. I would like to first welcome you all back. I know the last 4 days have been very hectic for a lot of us, and especially some of our city staff and our BSO and first responders who have been up tirelessly since Wednesday, Thursday, Tuesday of last week. And so I really want to applaud you all for all of your efforts. There was not one fatality that was reported. And you all did a wonderful and tremendous job. You all stayed overnight at the different facilities. You dealt with unfavorable conditions. You're away from your family, away from your friends and your kids and your loved ones and your homes to protect our residents. And I cannot say enough on how proud I am that you all are with me serving. And I think you all get Departments of the Year for dealing with what just happened. I know that I got very little sleep along with you all. I probably was harassing you all throughout the storm. And even though we lost communication, we were all diligent and worked together in order to ensure the safety for all of our residents. So I want to thank you for that. And we're here doing business as usual. Didn't want to put out a thought that, our employees work today. So, of course, business is on for the rest of us, and I want to thank the residents who came out. I'm sure that everyone in this room doesn't have power, but we're still here, and you're still doing business with us, and so I wanted to thank you all for that. Before we started, presentations and special events, we have this first one for the beach cleanup. I wanted to know if we were going to reschedule that, seeing as though the last time I checked, we had down power lines at the beach, and if anyone saw the flooding and the safety issues that we posed down at the beach, I think it would only be right if we gave adequate notice to those who are organizers of this event. I don't know the update on the beach.
No, it's still unsafe down there. I wouldn't hold this event. Recommend against it.
So I'm not sure on who we would need to contact to try to reschedule this.
We'll get a hold of Mark Felicity. We'll have him get a hold of him.
Okay. Do we need a motion and a second or any approval on this? No? Okay. Anyone have any objections to this? No? Okay, good. Rolling right along is citizens' comments. If you have not filled out this form, if you want to speak, you can fill it out and give it over to our city clerk. You'll have 3 minutes to come down and tell your citizens' comments. Michael Sarton. Please state your name and address for the record.
Michael Sarton, 746 Southwest 3rd Street in Dania Beach. And to answer the obvious question, I had an unfortunate encounter between my face, the floor, and a syncopal episode, and gravity was involved, and don't I look good? I want to talk about the future of Dania Beach, particularly the MLK Committee, and the idea that the city may be withdrawing its support from it. I would be unalterably opposed to that idea. There are a few things that belong sort of in and sort of out of the city's hands, and I think that commemorations are of that ilk. If you leave it all up to the city, sometimes it doesn't quite get done. If you leave it all up to a private group of individuals, sometimes it doesn't quite get done. Moreover, individuals are able to operate as a charity. Individual organizations are able to operate as a charity, exempt of federal income tax, and filing the appropriate forms with the appropriate transparency that that entails. And the city doesn't exactly have that obligation, nor necessarily do certain foundations associated with the city have that obligation to transparency. We've done it well this way. I want to speak very briefly of Phyllis Whitley. I doubt if anyone within the sound of my voice recognizes her name. If you come from Knoxville, you know her. If you know the minutiae of African American history, you know her. But my point here is that if you don't make an effort to remember someone, someone is inevitably lost to history, as Phyllis Whitley unfortunately has. And I would encourage that not to happen to Dr. King, and I assure you, 3, 4, 5, 800 years, it can. Thank you.
Thank you. Irene Lathrop. Please state your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Irene Lathrop, 818 Northwest 10th Avenue here in Dania, 32-year resident. I received many red alerts. Thank you for instituting that. I've had them on my regular phone, which is not working because I have no power. I have them on my cell phone and on my email, which is not working because I have no power, and also on my text message, which I do receive. I thank you very much for instituting that. However, there is a boil water alert in much of Dania. What areas are affected? Because this has not been addressed in the alerts.
It is west of I-95.
Thank you very much, because that was not told, and I think it should be to the residents, because my neighbors are boiling water, and we have young children, we have older people.
May I ask you a question,
We
ma'am?
need to know.
May I ask you a question? Were you getting reports from the county too? Because they were supposed to be notifying you.
Not really. If they were not really specific. They just said boil alert. Okay? Also, why do we have this breach of water in our community? What caused this?
I don't understand the question.
In other words, I should be able to open my faucet at any time. My husband was on the Hollywood water treatment plant for 33 years, so I know what I'm speaking about because he taught me. That when there is any kind of storm coming, there are specific things that the water plant operators are mandated to do. They are all licensed or they would not be working there. Now, someone goofed because our water is not potable in some areas. It wasn't all throughout. So in other words, there was a breach someplace in the water plant, and we would like to know what it is and who is responsible for this.
Do you want me to answer that?
Absolutely.
Yes, please.
We're not really sure. I don't know if Brad has more information. He stepped outside, but that can be caused by a broken water line. It can be any number of things, but it's the county has that information. We don't have it. The city of Dania Beach has its own municipal water system that's generally east of 95, west of 95 in the old annexation area.
Right.
If you get a bill from Broward County, that's generally the area that we're talking about.
However, this breach took in a large area, so mainly it was counting, because we're talking Pembroke Pines, parts of Hollywood, but Hollywood has their own water plant. And I don't know that they would
do
have
get
county.
water from the county.
as well.
Yeah.
What water we get from the county is processed through our Dania Beach
Right. And I know there was a
water plant,
wonderful
so.
upgrade in the last few years.
And I'll talk about it later, but we're
Okay.
trying to get a drinking water in
Right.
the area.
You are?
Yes,
Okay, because one of my neighbors asked about that.
Okay, we'll be reporting on that a little bit later.
Okay, because, many of us have filters, and we use the tap water to run it through the filter. Well, if we have to boil it, who wants to drink boiling water when it's 85 degrees inside my house right now?
I'm not
with
going
a
to
generator and fan.
I'm not going to criticize the county.
Okay.
There are issues that we have. That's something that we're trying to address.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Carolyn Jones. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Good evening to Mayor James, Vice Mayor Harris, Commissioners Brenda Marte, Grace, and Salvino in his absence, City Manager Bob Baldwin, Attorney Ansbro, and of course our clerk, Louise Stilson. I'm here this evening to discuss a subject
Can you
that's close.
state your name and address for the record,
Carolyn
please?
W. Jones, 722 Southwest 3rd Street, Dania Beach, Florida.
Thank you.
I'm here this evening to discuss a subject that's close to my heart, the MLK Charitable Scholarship Corporation. There is a concern that this commission wants to take the funding provided by the city from MLK. What is the problem? Heard that it can be better. Well, I agree. There's always room for improvement. But there's always room for improvement. But this comes at the expense of events sponsored by the organization. If any one of you sitting there can make it better, then outline your ideas and bring them to the MLK meeting. We welcome all ideas. No need to sneak around and get pieces of information when you can get it from the cow, that is, from the meeting. Commissioner Grace, let me digress. I do recall you being on charge of MLK for more than 20 years. Never heard any negativity coming from me or the commission discussing taking away the $10,000 that you received. As the cost of activities increased with inflation, I wrote a letter asking for an increase of $5,000, 10 to 15. The MLK committee is not here to fight the commission. They are workers. They are never at these meetings carrying gossip. We are well-organized, intelligent men and women who are about our children. I have only received excellent reviews regarding all of the activities. As for Parks and Rec, we're always involved with them. I.T. Parker, C.W. Thomas, and the park could not have any of our events without the help and support of Mark Felicity, our chief. Commissioners, do the right thing. There are several students waiting in line for scholarships. Do not hurt the future, which is our children. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Derek Hankerson. Please state your name and address for the record, and you have 3 minutes.
Thank you, Mayor. Derek Hankerson, 746 Southwest 3rd Street, Dania Beach. I'm here to, I don't know if the word is commemorate, I think that's the wrong word. Today we lost a wonderful American. Edie Windsor died. Edie Windsor was a plaintiff in the 2013 case that eventually led to a Supreme Court ruling legalizing same-sex marriage in the United States. This was an important case because Edie met a woman named Thea in New York in 1968. They were actually together living as a couple for 42 years. When Thea passed away, Edie was hit with a $360,000 estate tax, and she felt as though this was unjust. They were both U.S. citizens. They both paid taxes for all of their working lives, and she felt as though it was unfair. So she filed suit and actually was encouraged by the Justice Department at that time to move forward with this case. So it's unfortunate today that she passed away at the age of 88, but it took a lot of courage because, as she said back in the old days, you could lose your job, you could lose your housing, you could lose so much. Now, when I ran for public office, there was a member of the Dania public that decided to put out a nasty little bulletin that said, he's a gay person and he may be under the control of gay activists. Well, I just want it to be known, I was a gay activist. I helped self-policy, so I'm not under anybody's control. But I just want to say, for those who had concerns, why do they have to upset the apple cart? It's about due process, it's about freedom, it's about access, and it's about happiness. Thank you.
Thank you. Albert Jones. No, we all did. We all did. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good
Vice
evening.
Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Albert Jones, 722 Southwest 3rd Street.
Thank you.
All my days in life here in Dania Beach. I'm here tonight to speak on behalf of the Dr. Martin Luther King Corporation, Inc., and which I'm a member. And also, I would like to say that this organization has done an incredible job, an excellent job of keeping the dream alive, Dr. Martin Luther King's dream. Not only just honoring his holiday, but also his ideas, his concepts, his precepts, and goals of unity and inclusiveness. We have a diverse group of volunteers from Dania Beach community who for the past 5 years have worked very hard to bring about a professional quality program which include a banquet, free unity breakfast, parade, church service, and family-oriented activities at CW Park. Also, the MLK Charitable Corporation has awarded 5 scholarships to Dania Beach students. One has graduated, the other 2 in line to graduate in June 18 and 1 2019. Each year, these students were awarded $1,000 scholarship. That's each year and every year of their 4-year continuance. These were some of the activities, events, and programs we do each year. So it's imperative that dollars from the city taxpayers continue to fund this organization. Those that were awarded these scholarships, I think this is the only time there's been a scholarship given in this city by one of the organizations. The last time a scholarship was given in this community was through FAU. And FAU gave a scholarship for 10 years for a partnership. That partnership that we have now through the oceanography and so forth on the beach. With that, there's been no other scholarship. The last year, I think, was 2009, in which a scholarship, the last scholarship was given to Rodney Collins' daughter. She has graduated. No other scholarships. So you can see it's very, very important that we give these scholarships and make sure they're provided for Dania Beach kids. At our last MLK meeting in which the mayor attended, the agenda reflected that it was said during commissioner's comment and stated by the mayor that during the budget hearing on Wednesday evening, there will be recommendations that funding for the MLK Corporation be taken away and possibly given to the Parks and Recreation, who would be responsible for all activities held at the park.
Okay, you have
While
3 minutes.
Great. While MLK Corporation continued with a peace banquet.
Sir?
I heard you, Mayor.
Okay, well, your
Okay.
3 minutes.
My 3 minutes are up? I don't get any extras? Well, lastly, let me say this. Why all of a sudden there's a sinister plot to destroy the historical organization
Thank you,
that has
sir.
already been here for 30 years? So I say to you, commissioners, make a stand. If I didn't make a stand in 2012, we would have had a possibly convicted felon on this commission. I took a
Okay,
stand.
thank you,
So I'm
Commissioner.
saying, take a
Thank
stand.
you, thank you,
Please,
thank you,
don't get rid
thank
of
you,
this.
thank you. Emmanuel George? Please state your name and address for the record.
My name's Emmanuel George, 17 Northeast 2nd Avenue, Dania Beach, Florida. I'm a large, anyone knows me knows I'm a large lover of history. And through like many travels and doing a lot of organizing throughout Miami-Dade and Broward County, a lot of historic black communities have areas where they archive their local history. Overtown has the Lyric Theater. You have the Hampton House in Liberty City. There's many places in Little Haiti that have a lot of archive about the Haitian history and their contributions to Miami, as well as the Bahamians when that was once Lemon City before it became Little Haiti. Sistrunk has a lot of archives. Pompano has the archives from Esther Roll from Good Times, her family. They archive her contributions, her history. Miss Ely, also in the African American Research Library, Esther Roll's family, a lot of her estate, a lot of her belongings was sent to the African American Research Library after her death. And I was just thinking here, it would be great for the Northwest Quadrant for people to kind of come together and organize so that this side of town's history gets preserved. Because through doing the Black Broward Film Project, it's been quite a hassle. It's kind of hard to find like archive photos. I know some people are hesitant, but I just think if it becomes a community effort, more people will become open to showcasing these archive histories. So people that's coming up, young youth, all colors, could know the history of these areas, and then they could take more pride in the history of these areas, and then they would be more motivated to do something. So I just think having some kind of archive area for this side of the town, the same way Overtown has theirs, Liberty City has theirs. I mean, because this is Broward's first city, and when you really look at it on a historical level, this is Broward's first black community. This is basically what Coconut Grove is to Miami. This is what it is for Broward County. So I just think that would be something that I would like to, curate or be a part of. I just found out that in West Park on 19th, there's a historical society that a lady has. She's been living there since 1943. Can't remember her name right now, but she preserved a lot of Carver Ranch's history, and people can go there and then look at these archive photos. So I just think something like that will be great, and it will be something great for the community to get involved in just moving forward. And I don't know how much time I have left.
About 15 seconds.
Okay, well, that's pretty much it, and I guess I'll come around another time.
Right. Thank you. No? Okay. Lauren Ottman, please state your name and address for the record.
Lauren Ottman, 85 Gulfstream Road. Great to see you all tonight. First of all, thank you for having this meeting. I think it's really important after a disaster like what we had in this last week to see that the city is still operating, and for you guys to be here is really meaningful for us. I've been going around house to house to certain residents that I had spoken to before the storm, checking in on them, and there's been with some nurses from Memorial, and there's been certain health issues that we've seen popping up post-hurricane, so I just wanted to relate them to you. And hopefully, as you speak to your neighbors, and I know that you all are a lifeline and people are always contacting you, asking you questions, when's the power going to be on, when are the schools opening, whatever, perhaps you can relay this information. So with the power out, a lot of people don't think about it, but we've seen a lot of dehydration. So even though you're not profusely sweating, running around playing soccer, our elderly residents and our younger children, we're seeing them with dehydration. We come in there, we give them a couple bottles of water, hang out for 30 minutes. Suddenly, everyone feels better. So in the cases of mild dehydration, oftentimes just that reminder can be very helpful for them. With our diabetics, having them check their blood glucose more often. If somebody's calling you and they're saying that they're not feeling great and they're diabetic and they're not sure if they should go over to the hospital or urgent care and get checked out, you might want to ask them first, did you check their sugar? Sometimes it's just a matter of needing to adjust their insulin. And with all the tree cutting going on, cuts, a lot of little cuts are becoming big cuts very quickly, lacerations that are getting infected from when they're cutting down the trees. People don't think about it. But in these times when we're sweating a lot, everyone's a little bit dirtier than we're used to being, it's just something to pay attention to. So those were the three big ones that we saw when we went out house to house. And my last thing is from Memorial. There's an urgent need for O-negative blood and platelets. After the hurricane, we're tapped out. So if you know anyone O-negative or willing to donate platelets, they'll take all blood at this point, but that's where the most urgent need is. Tomorrow from 10 to 6 at Memorial Regional, Memorial West, Miramar, and at the Urgent Care Center. They will be having everything set up there to do donations. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lauren.
Public safety reports. Chief Marks.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Mayor, thank you for the comments earlier. That's nice. I want to thank a few groups of people and organizations that really helped us. And first, I want to thank our BSO deputies and supervisors, Lieutenant Manfrey, Sergeant Granado. Since last week, we've been working 24/7, not going home, out in the storm. Thank you. Thanks. It's tough. Away from our families, we don't know the status of our homes, but that's our job, and we enjoy doing it, and we're always going to do that. But I just want to thank all our employees for doing such a fantastic job and fighting through the stress of not knowing what's going on in back at the home. I also want to thank Public Services.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time we lost power in the middle of the storm.
Mm-hmm.
They came out.
Yeah.
It was tough. I wouldn't want to have been out there, and we were out there in it too. But it was blowing outside.
Mm-hmm.
So Brad's crew, they came out and did a fantastic job for us. I also want to thank the AMO.
Yeah.
They're unbelievable. They still calling us, wanting to feed us. Does anybody need a place to stay?
Can you give them my address? I'm just saying.
But it really shows how strong this community is and can be, and it can be even stronger. People helping people is what it's all about. We did have our mishaps when it came down to people acting up on the streets during the storm. We did catch armed robbery and a shooting that occurred in the city of Hollywood. We arrested that suspect. We also arrested some possible looters. It was actually, we made 2 good arrests at one of the hotels of car burglars. They were checking all the car doors when the storm was going on. We went out there. They had felony warrants from out of town. They went to jail. We sent out 2 teams first thing in the morning to prevent looting, and apparently we did a pretty good job of it, because I was surprised. I really thought that it was going to occur along Federal Highway, and we had a few home burglaries that occurred while people were evacuated. So all in all, it was good. We'll debrief in a few days, and that way we can become even better next time, because there will always be a next time. Hopefully not, but we know there will be, and we can always take it up a notch, and that's our goal. But all in all, I'm proud of our city in general when it came to it, and especially our deputy that I spent the last week with. Any questions, concerns?
Not from me. I just want to, again, thank you all for your selfless service. And I know that you're going to continue. You don't have days off. You're still recovering. There's a lot of things that you guys have to be here for post-storm, and I just want to give my gratitude to you all.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. You don't have fire today. Consent agenda?
Mayor, could I say something for?
Yes.
The fire department couldn't be here tonight, and so I'll represent them if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
The fire department is really over our emergency operations center, and Inspector Ross and Lieutenant Suarez were at the EOC all night long. It was a difficult situation. We'll talk more about it later. I think you maybe want to have a workshop on the EOC and preparedness, but they really did a fantastic job. I'm not going to compliment the police department right now because I'm representing the fire department, but they really did a good job. They were in communication with the county. We received email, and they were on top of everything. So one thing that the chief mentioned, the generator going out at the police department. And as far as the fire department, the generator also went out at Station 1, which is our busiest station, and it was because of a water pump that had failed. The fire department, also the bay door got stuck. Those firefighters were able to get the door down, and they relocated Station 1 to Station 17 without any difficulty. So they did a really good job, and additionally, we had Public Works come over because the ceiling was leaking in the Emergency Operations Center. And after they left, it started leaking again. So Lieutenant Suarez and Inspector Ross both climbed in the ceiling and got it stopped. So I give them credit. They're not only good firefighters, they're also good maintenance people. So I just wanted to thank them. They did an excellent job, and that's really all I have to say.
Okay. Consent agenda, do we have any pulls?
Move the consent agenda.
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. I am going to request that we move 9.11 up first.
Okay.
911 is a resolution of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, approving the site plan SP 02917 and variance VA 5817 applications submitted by Sinilowski Romanek Say on behalf of the property owner Marina Industrial Park LLC for property located at 2401 Southwest 31st Street in the City of Dania Beach, Florida, as legally described in Exhibit A, a copy of which is attached to this resolution, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date. Anybody who's going to address the commission on this matter has to stand up and be sworn. If you're going to speak, including staff, swear or affirm the testimony will give, be the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thanks very much. If the commission's been contacted on the application, you would please disclose that. Otherwise, we'll let Ms. Corinne proceed.
Good evening. Corinne LaJoy, Planning and Zoning Manager. This application is for a site plan and a variance for the property at 2401 Southwest 31st Street. The property is IROM Industrial Research Office Marine Airport Approach Zoning Designation and has an industrial land use designation. There are no violations on the property. The subject property is approximately 1.5 acres and it's currently vacant. It's situated on the north side of Southwest 31st Street between Tram Road and Ravenswood Road, and this is located on the north side of Interstate 595, as you can see here in the aerial. The 595 is to the south, and this is the subject property. So State Road 84 is to the north. It's kind of in between those two areas. The variance that's being requested is regarding the interior side setback of the property, and the applicant's requesting to provide 13 feet along a portion of the eastern property line where the code requires 20. Per the applicant, the truck fleet parking requires a wide turning radius and drive aisle, and you'll see in the site plan in a moment how this all kind of lays out on the property. Screening is also required for the fleet parking. The variance request allows the applicant to meet all the other requirements on the site. And we have the variance criteria, which are identified in the land development regulations and are in your staff report. And the applicant's been able to identify how the requests are consistent with those criteria. Regarding the site plan, this project did go through the Development Review Committee on April 27th as well as June 29th and was reviewed by the members of the DRC. The applicant has outstanding comments that must be addressed prior to the issuance of the permit. They're aware of that, and they're identified in the staff report and the resolution that's before you today. And this is a site plan. If you look at the one on the right, this the colored render one with the landscaping is a little bit easier to read. So the street is to the south of the property. There is an office building upstairs, and where the office workers would park is in front of the building. And then this is traffic circulation for their trucks, their fleet parking, which will be pulled in here. They do like an oil change, and they check the odometers. And then they park the fleet parking at the rear of the property. These are some renderings of the building itself. You can see the office building is on the second level of the structure. Staff's recommending approval of the site plan and the variance request, provided the DRC site plan comments by the DRC are addressed as conditions in the resolution. And I know that the applicant's here to make a presentation to you as well.
Madam Mayor, Commissioners, good evening. My name is Manny Sinilowski. My office address is 1500 Eller Drive, Suite 500 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I don't have any other presentation to make unless you all have any questions, but the staff's presentation covered our application completely. I do want to take advantage of being here nonetheless and thank staff for their help and their patience with us throughout the whole process from back at the beginning of our submittal till tonight. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Mr. Michael Penza from Coraluzza is here this evening also. If you have any questions of him, they will own and, for that matter, operate the facility. Otherwise, we're happy to agree with staff's recommendation for approval.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this? Any discussion on the dais?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
9-1, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 8 entitled Buildings of the City Code of Ordinances of the City of Dania Beach to require certain fence coverings for commercial properties under construction, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date. Second and final reading of this ordinance.
I'm sorry, this is second reading of a text amendment that was regarding construction fencing, construction site fencing, and it talks about requiring it as part of a condition of the a site plan that when they pull a building permit for new commercial construction, that they should enclose the construction site with fencing and have signage and banners identifying the project and a contact person's name in case of an emergency. This is second reading. I can go through that presentation again if you like. These are regulations that are identified in the Code of Ordinances, not in the Land Development Code, so it did not go to Planning and Zoning Board.
I want to ask if in your wording, let me get to it. In the wording, if you could amend from, hold on. I'm in the backup if you guys don't know. 9.1 on page 2, a project renderings which may cover up to the entire length of the fence along the right-of-way to shall. Because what I don't want is, the idea of this when I brought this to you was to eliminate us, and we're in a developmental boom and there's a lot of construction, and I wanted to eliminate seeing all of those boring green construction fences going up and down our main roads. And so if you could change.
That has already been corrected. It's in the ordinance that's to be prepared, ready for you to sign tonight. We made that change.
Okay. So just to make sure that the entire thing's, and not just a little piece. So that was my only comment for this. This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this? Call the roll. Oh,
Move the item.
sorry.
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
9-2, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 28, the Land Development Code of the City Code of Ordinances by amending Article 115, Industrial Districts, permitted, prohibited, special exception uses and conditions of use, Section 115-50, Conditions of Use, providing for regulations concerning separation requirements for electrical power plants, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date. Second reading of this ordinance.
Good evening. This is second reading of the ordinance, and this is related to the electrical power plants and some additional language they were adding to the code. But I did want to show you the language because it has changed since first reading. We worked with the applicant and we agreed on some language. This language achieves what the applicant was requesting, which is to eliminate the separation requirements for an existing power plant. So we incorporated the date of 2001 because that's the time when that particular power plant was annexed into the city and became part of the city. We also added that if they were to make any changes in terms of the fuel sourcing, if there was like a solar electrical plant or a nuclear electrical plant, that was something that we wanted not exempt and something that we did want to review. So we've added that kind of language so that any change in the fuel source would come back and have that separation requirement be applicable. And I know the applicants here, if you have any questions for them as well.
It's a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
I'll second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a number of items now that will be very, very similar. These are required pursuant to the city charter. Anytime the city spends more than $1 million, they're supposed to have a public hearing, 2 public hearings, and adopt an ordinance before that money is committed or spent. First is an ordinance under 9.3, ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the expenditure of city funds exceeding $1 million to fund a lift station rehabilitation project. Lift station numbers 5, 7, and 10, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, second reading of that ordinance.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
9.4, an ordinance of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the city expenditure of the employer contribution portion to the general employees' GE pension plan, which will exceed $1 million, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, second reading of that ordinance.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
9.5, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the city expenditure of the employer contribution portion to the police and firefighters P&F pension plan, which will exceed $1 million, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, second reading of that ordinance.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
9.6, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the expenditure of city funds exceeding $1 million for fire rescue services provided by the Borough Sheriff's Office, BSO, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, second reading of this ordinance.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
I'll second it.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
9.7, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the expenditure of city funds exceeding $1 million for police services provided by the Borough Sheriff's Office, BSO, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, second reading of that ordinance.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
9.8, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the expenditure of city funds exceeding $1 million for the Solid Waste Removal Services Agreement, which services are provided by Waste Management, Inc. of Florida, WMI, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, second reading of this ordinance.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
Second.
You go, Bill. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
And 9.9, the last in this series, this is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, authorizing the expenditure of city funds exceeding $1 million for the large user sewer agreement under which services are provided by the City of Hollywood, providing for severability, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date, second reading of that ordinance.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
$7 million just gone.
Wait, who's moving it and who's seconding it? Bill, don't let them take it off from you.
So,
Move the item.
second.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Brandemart?
Yes.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ordinance 910 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, amending the future land use element of the Dania Beach Comprehensive Plan to change the future land use text to add an electrical generation facilities land use classification as attached, and to amend the future land use plan map to change the designation of approximately 373 gross acres as legally described in Exhibit A attached to this ordinance from utilities and industrial to electrical generation facilities for property located at 3051 Southwest 30th Avenue, pursuant to a request submitted by Leigh Robinson Kerr and Associates, also known as Leigh R. Kerr, AICP, on behalf of the property owner, Florida Power and Light Company, case number LU 8717, providing for transmittal to the Broward County Planning Council and state agencies, providing for adoption pursuant to Section 163.3184 Florida statutes, requesting recertification from the Broward County Planning Council, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, further providing for an effective date, first reading of that ordinance.
Good evening. This application is a amendment to the city's comprehensive plan, and it is first reading, and it's for a particular property. It's the FP&L property at 3051 Southwest 30th Avenue. So the existing zoning is IG, General Industrial. The land use designation is Utilities. The site has been utilized by a power plant facility since 1927. As I stated earlier, it was annexed into the city much later in 2001. The applicant is requesting tonight are two actions, to a comprehensive plan map amendment and a comprehensive plan text amendment. Okay, so this is the FP&L property. It's located on the western portion of the city. It's south of Interstate 595 and east of 441, and just north of the Dania Canal. Okay, so the first request is regarding the comprehensive plan map amendment. In 2002, the Broward County Commission established a new electrical generation facility land use category in the Broward County Land Use Plan. The applicant's requesting to change the subject site from the existing designation of utilities and industrial to electrical generation facilities, which is consistent with the Broward County Land Use Plan. The map designation will change for this property on the city's future land use map. The second request is to change a comprehensive plan text amendment. So the amendment to the city's comprehensive plan will add the electrical generation facilities use category to our future land use element, and in doing so, it will identify the uses that are allowed in that designation. This is the words that will be added to the city's comprehensive plan. It allows the electrical power plants, other uses determined to be accessory to that primary use, as well as recreation and open space. So it's pretty limited in the activities that can occur in that designation. This was heard by the Planning and Zoning Board on August 16th, where they recommended approval. And the applicant, this application will have to have two readings before the City Commission, but they'll also have to go through the county and the state as well. So this is first reading, and the applicant is here to answer any questions you may have of them.
This is a public hearing. Anyone to speak for or against this?
Move the item.
I will second it.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Grace?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Harris?
Yes.
Mayor James?
Yes.
Thank you.
Before we move on to discussion and possible action, I would like to add something up for discussion. I forgot about it at the beginning of the meeting. We have Lori Flink here from the office of our Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. If you would like to come down, I think she has some very valuable information. Oh, you can't speak? Okay, that's okay. She has some valuable information here for FEMA and some telephone numbers and stuff for residents to have. Because a lot of our systems are down and our networks are down and our internet is down, she brought a lot of hard copies here. And so we'll have them right outside for anyone to grab. And I'm sure if you see her on your way walking out, she wouldn't mind answering a question or two for you. Some things that are on here are, it says Broward County and Miami-Dade residents who have sustained losses can begin applying for assistance by registering online at www.disasterassistant.gov. It has a phone number for you to call. It has the hours of operation. It's giving you a small FP&L alert that they're aware that there are a lot of power outages and a phone number to call. But if you want to report down power lines, they have a phone number for that. Reminding you that to not open your doors to anyone that comes and just said they're from FPNL without showing the proper badge, and that don't let them inside because they never need to come into your home anyway, and ask to seek their identification. Real-time traffic information, we have a 511 number that you can call from any landline or a mobile device, and it's also a website for them, and that's an app. They have the latest information from Florida Division of Emergency Management. They have a website, a phone number, and hours of operation. And if you shall need to consult an insurance expert, they have the information here for that. And for price gouging, because I know that even some of our business here in Dania Beach, I'm sad to report that they were price gouging as well, and they even stopped putting the information on the actual bottles of water in the cases, but they did it verbally. And so there is a number or a website for that as well. And Small Business Administration Disaster Loan Program, it is now available to Miami-Dade and Broward businesses that was affected by Hurricane Irma. And it's a loan application online. And so we'll leave these right outside, right there at the information desk. You can take a couple for your friends and family, to your churches if you would. I know I'm going to take a few and pass them out to my neighbors because it's very important. And it's important to know that she's also working with FEMA and trying to get assistance resources here for our residents that were affected by Irma. And so we have people at the state and federal level that are lobbying for us, and just want you all to know that. Vice Mayor?
Katya, can we also put a PDF of this up on the website too? So the links to the websites, there's about 10 of them on here. That would help for people that don't have a hard copy. But we'll make sure that we have copies available as well. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner comments? Commissioner Brandon Marty?
Yeah. You know, I used to, first of all, thanks to everybody for coming out. I used to believe it when they said that storms and things like this bring out the best in people. I'm here to tell you that ain't true. It really isn't. Case in question, I have 5 buildings around a lake. When the electric was turned back on, 3 had electric. She's shaking her head. She knows 2 didn't have electric in our clubhouse. So right away, the phone calls kept coming through saying that, how did Chicky get electric? Is it because she's a commissioner and pulled strings? And we don't have electric. Well, first of all, 2 buildings in our clubhouse are on something called a grid, a different grid in the city. So now, you know, Meadowbrook has no TV at all, but some buildings have electric. So sometimes it's not always the best. In the store, this gentleman, older gentleman, wanted some item, and this other man had 5 in his carriage, and he said, I really need one so bad. And the guy said, you know, sorry, first come, first serve, and he went away. So my husband took it out of his carriage and put it in the man's carriage. So there was the good and the bad. And then something close to my heart happened, be honest with you, and that is, just before the storm hit, there was a meeting at IT Parker for the Dania Beach Senior Citizens Club. And we had 35 people come out, so I had to be there, and 5 new members. I thought, wow, this was all right. When the storm hit, right where we stand to welcome everybody and speak, and where Danny stands too, it collapsed. It now collapsed at IT Parker, our ceiling. But the city has said that they will be sure that I'll be able to get my meeting for the first Thursday in October. And I sure hope so. But just to see you come out, and I'll tell you, do you know that our city people spend the whole hurricane in this building that was leaking? They really did. They just spent it here. Some brought their wife, their family, and I thought that that was wonderful. Of course, I never want to be a city manager because if a hurricane's coming, I'm going somewhere else. But no, he took his wife and children, and he was even kind enough to think of his pet. And he came here and rode out the storm, answering phones, answering all kinds of things that went on. But I'm proud of Dania residents. You really should pat yourselves on the back, because those trees out there, that's another thing. Let's talk about the trees. I hate this thing that we got in the city that says, if you take one tree out, you got to put 2 more in. Point in question. Ready? We have a lady, and Mark, take note of this, who applied for a permit to remove a tree from her backyard. Carol Hemis. She lives on the west side. And she was told, well, you know, you've got to replace 2 more trees and all that. Lord up above took the tree. The downside of it, the roots were connected to the water lines. And I have to tell you, she's going to have an unbelievable bill because no one was outside, could see this, and that's where the pipes are connected to the roots of this tree that's now over. So I'll tell you, I'm going to be the first one to yell, you know. I don't want her to have to pay for it, and we should be able to see when there's a spike in the water. You know somebody isn't taking 10 baths in one day just to make the water bill go up. You have to bend with our residents. They could have something serious like this. I just want you to be aware of this, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Grace?
Well, I certainly thank everybody that worked through the storm, especially our first responders. If I had to have an employee of the month, I will make it 2. I would make it Brad Kane, and I would make it Tamara James, because I cannot fathom the way that they worked so diligently to make sure that we were all safe. Even though I was out here at the garage trying to make sure everybody that wanted to park their car in there parked their car in there, and I looked and I said, oh my God, now I don't have a parking space, so I took my car back home. But I was kind of happy that we did that, because a lot of people that lived east of 95, they were concerned about their cars and they brought them over here. Mm-hmm. And then the sandbags, I mean, you know, I volunteered, and then I didn't realize that they were going to be as heavy as they were. But you know what? It was good for me. It gave me a workout. And actually, there were some senior citizens that we delivered to their homes, and I thank you so much for that. Set them up for them to make sure that their garage doors were, and the front doors and the back doors were taken care of. We helped put up plywood for people were calling you for everything, plywood for their homes, and they didn't have plywood, so we were out going from my shed to somebody else's shed to anybody's shed that we can think of to try to get the plywood so we can put it up for them. And some of the comments that we received, and I must have at least 15 on my phone, thanking us for being out there. And I was here for a short time, and I said, oh my God, they don't have any snacks here. You know, I mean, they had donuts, you know. I'm not a really donut person. I was looking for something like maybe some caviar, some steak or something like that, but none of that was happening. So I said, it's about time for me to move on to something else. I thank them for having me for a little while, and I really thank the fire department because they were on site from day one. Mm-hmm. They were really on site, and he had all of his monitors and everything working, and you and Colin and Tamara and Bill, and I mean, we were working as a team out there, but I'm going to tell you, when the air went off, girlfriend was not feeling it. I'm going to be honest with you. I felt like, now, I know that my parents survived in all of this because when they were growing up, they didn't have air conditioning, but it was hot and it was sticky, and then you got wet, and then you know, it was just, it was a good feeling. We took water to seniors that didn't have water. We even went and purchased the water and bought it to them, so that was a good thing. So I think Dania Beach, and we had people from Hollywood that actually came to Dania Beach looking for services, and we gave it to them. We didn't turn anybody away. And I think in the time of a storm, that's the way we should do it. We really should. Now, I want to address a couple of things because I think that they need to be addressed. First of all, the Dania Bears did not have the last two games. And it was because they didn't have referees, and then they have details. There has to be, and what I'm thinking right now is not about the program. It's not about the people who's running the program. It's about the children that have worked out there in sweat and tears to have a game, and then we're told that they can't have a game. So we talked about this during our workshop as the budget. I'm asking the city to please get with somebody so that we can get that program up to par so that those children can be able to play. They weren't able to play on 9/2, so I took, I think I took 15 of the Bears to the University of Miami and the Bethune-Cookman College game with me because I just wanted them to be in the loop, you know, of everything. But it's a sad situation right now. We need to get that program up and running. We truly do.
Commissioner, you budgeted some money to, in the event you wanted to take over the Bears, you also put money in for an athletic director who could
And I think that's really the way we should be going right now.
Yes.
I truly do.
Can I ask a question right quick since you said that? Mark, what is the reason they did not play this past weekend? Well, obviously not this Saturday, but the last game that they had. Was it
The one on 9/12, I mean 9/2.
because they did not have a detail? Okay.
All right. So we need to work on that. Those kids have really been
It's
practicing.
it's really unfair.
It's it's disheartening. It really is. It truly is. Chairperson Carolyn Jones talked about the MLK. I want to give you a little background on my perspective of the MLK, not only for the city of Dania Beach, but for all of the cities that have the Dr. Martin Luther King celebration. I had the opportunity for 18 years in the city of Dania Beach to be the chairperson under the leadership of the Dania Activity Committee for the Dr. Martin Luther King celebration in the city of Dania Beach. We did not receive funding from the city of Dania Beach. Occasionally they did buy a table, but what we did was we got out and we solicited the monies and the donations and the sponsorships for the event. Not to say that that is not the direction that the city has not gone since the 18 years that we've been here. It wasn't 20 years, it was 18 years. 5 of those years we did it under the umbrella of the Chesterburg Humanitarian Award. We did give out scholarships. And what we did was for the 4 years that those children that were in school, we gave them scholarship money. We only gave them $500 each time because we were raising our own money. But any time that they had a function at their school, whether they needed books, whether they were going on a field trip, whether they had a concert, whether they were in the band, whether they're in the chorus, they called. I had Laverne send the money directly to their account so that they will be able to participate. From the Dr. Martin Luther King celebration in the city of Dania Beach, Dania Activity Committee. Now, there have been other sponsorships in the city of Dania Beach, and Commissioner Jones and I were part of it, and I'm going to go back to the Dania Highlight, Steve Snyder, with the scholarship program that was under the Dania Highlight. And that happened for at least 5 years in the city of Dania Beach. And I think what was allocated at that time was $10,000, but it was over a period of time. You were on that board, Commissioner Jones. I remember it very good. I remember it because I knew it happened, and it was part of what we did in the city of Dania Beach. And Steve was very happy to be a part of doing that for us, and we did give out scholarships. We gave out scholarships to Shezarine Colley, Danielle Peterman, Valerie Pace, Michael Bryant, and I still have the letter from when Mike was in college that he sent us, thanking us for supporting him. And also the two Smart brothers. I can always remember the two Smart boys because even when they were in the Boy Scout troop, when we went on special events, we wanted to make sure that they love to eat, and so we wanted to make sure that they got everything that they needed. So that was a part of what we did. I'm not against the City of Dania Beach giving out funding for any organization, but I want it to be a representative and a reflection on the City of Dania Beach as a positive and not a negative. So I think that what we're going to have to do, and I've suggested this, and of course it hasn't happened, that there is room, as it was told to us before, for improvement in anything that we do, in a marriage or in a business, etc. But if we work together collectively, I think we can get a lot more done instead of being not pro Dania Beach, and I think that's what we need to look forward to. So I'm hoping that that's going to happen, and if it doesn't happen, then I think that the city, as they're giving out funding to organizations, that they should be held accountable because this is taxpayers' money that we're using, that it should be on point. I really, truly believe that. I also want to let you know that Mrs. Annie Fedd, who is a Dania resident for the City of Dania Beach, has passed away, and they're going to be having her services, I believe, on Saturday at the United House of Prayer, and we want to support that family. That family has been here for a long time. If you know Reverend Ricky Young, his wife Melinda Fedd, that's her mom, and they need our help right now, and they need our support. So anything that we can do to uplift that family at this time would be nice. I also want you to keep my grandson in your prayers. He's in Texas, so Texas is having their little problems, as you know, as we are. And I just got a group from Fort Lauderdale that helped fill the trailer with items for Hurricane Harvey victims. And anybody that has anything that you want to donate, whether it's hygiene, toiletry, diapers, formula, blankets, pillows, games, baby clothing, whatever, towels, new underwear, nothing that you've worn, medical supplies. We're going to set up a drop-off point at Dania Economic and Development Corporation at 210 Northwest 12th Avenue. So they have a 18-wheeler that they are planning on putting together. Now, I know it's a fool that doesn't take care of their own home first before going outside the boundaries to take care of somebody else's. So once we've been finished with South Florida, and if we have any extras, let us keep Texas in your mind. I also want you to remember that things happen that are unforeseen, and we don't know when they're going to happen. So we have to be very cautious of how we handle things. As this storm was leaving our area, my niece lives in Gainesville, Beverly King, who is a resident of Dania Beach. Lightning struck her house and burnt down the whole house. She had been there for 30 years. So things happen, you know, it's unforeseen. So I'll keep that family in your prayers at the same time. It's going to take us a little while to get back up to par, but I think the city is in good hands. I really, truly do. I remember when we had the hurricane readiness, all of the people that came to the event, it gave us an opportunity to be ready, and I know that Dania Beach was truly out there. Now, there was one thing, as Commissioner Brandon Marty said, I had a couple of incidents that were not too happy, but you know, you deal with it as it comes. Got a phone call from the Melaleuca area about one of the waste management big bins in the yard with leaves and stuff from a roof that was going to really impact that neighborhood. So I got 4 or 5 calls, and finally they said, well, you need to come out here and take a look at this. So I went out there and I took a look, and I said, oh yeah, I said, I could see stuff flying. So once I got out of my car, the guy starts 4-letter, 5-letter, 6-letter, 20-letter words that were profanity, and I said, oh my God, and then he get off my property, who in the, I said, okay, so I moved back. He said, you're still on my property. I got on the road. He said, you're still on my property. I said, no, not this time. I said, this is the City of Dania Beach property I'm on. And I said, I'm not here to antagonize you. I'm here to help you and your neighbors. So let's get this right. He said, well, who are you? And so once I told him who I was and why I was there, he calmed down, apologized for his language, and I said, well, you said some words that I haven't heard before, but I probably will use them in the near future if I had to. I mean, because he was really out there. But make a long story short, when I left that gentleman's house, we were talking just like I'm talking to you right now, that we were able to accomplish something. I talked to Waste Management. Brad talked to Waste Management. Our Public Works people were there, and we got it done within 45 minutes. He had been trying to do it for 2 weeks, and we got it done in 45 minutes. So I really just want to thank all of us for working together with that. So it's like anything in the City of Dania Beach, if we come together in unity, with dignity, we can get it done. Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
I first want to thank Brad Kane from Public Services for the coordination of the sandbag event, which we had never really done before. It wasn't without its hiccups, but we got through it. And for those people that were out there and helping, Patty can tell you, Lorraine can tell you how hot it was. How are you feeling? But you were there and you saw what was happening, and the turnout was great. Thanks to Lauren for the traveling nurses. The other thing I want to mention is that, and keeping people safe, thanks to Ivy for the salsa and the hunch punch. And if anybody has any pictures, whatever pictures you have from the events from the last week, save them. And we're going to see if Katya can put together a retrospective of the storm of 2017, since it's the first storm that we've been through in the digital age. So we'll be able to look back at that in 20 years and say, this is what we did back in 2017. So we'll find a way to get you her email address, and she can put together something for that. Over in the southeast, over at Frost Park, and again, Lorraine and Patty can tell you that we had some amazing people that just like rolled up their sleeves and took off their shirts and dived right in. I mean, we had firefighters from Tamarack. Dove right in. Firefighters from Tamarack and new residents in the city that had never really seen anything like this before, and they just jumped right in. And so at the next meeting, maybe we'll get some kind of thank you to them, because I had mentioned to Bob and to Tom at the EOC meetings that we had some amazing people out there. It wasn't without trouble in some cases, and we did have a few unruly residents, as you can attest, and that were trying to cut the line and do some other things. But overall, it was a really good effort, and Brad, thank you again for all of that. On October the 22nd, coming up, I know from the day that we were over at Collins Elementary for the presentation, October 22nd at Lighthouse Church. The entire City Commission is invited to the Lighthouse Church for a special commemoration of the church service, and we'll be there for that. In the EOC, Commander Suarez and Lieutenant Ross, they were awesome, and they had the whole place tripped out. And, of course, there was plenty of food in all kinds of shapes and sizes, no steak and caviar. Yeah, but it was plenty of everything else. And we were there. I was there every day. Happened to bring some people over who parked in the garage. Saw Commissioner Grace, Sheriff Jenny, and Representative Evan Jenny, who were out there helping and just making sure everybody was safe. So it was exhausting and exhilarating, like many of the other things that we do. No sleep and having to protect home and office and run to the EOC and take the dogs for a walk and all that other kind of stuff. But we made it through, and we will. And one of the reasons that I personally wanted to have this meeting tonight was I was kind of torn as to have it or not to have it. But I think when we show everybody that we're open for business and there's nothing that's going to keep us down, that we put our best face forward and we show that we are Dania Beach strong. So thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. And Lori from Wasserman Schultz's office, I think I called you at 5:30 and you got here by 7, so I appreciate you coming up from South Miami, because I know it's not easy with the traffic. And everybody else, city management, Tom, Louise, Tom, everybody, Bob, Mayor, everybody, and me. So it was a good effort. It was a good effort.
Where's my key lime pie?
Yep. Not without its lots of experiences for opportunities for improvement, but we'll do it the next time. Thank you.
All right, I guess I'll start with hurricane. That's the most popular thing. I won't go through the thank yous again. For like 7 hours, I was shoveling dirt at Patrick J. Mealy. And I really want to thank our Parks and Rec staff and Mark Felicity for coordinating everything with Brad and his crew. You guys worked diligently. I want to thank all the volunteers as well. Lauren was throwing those sandbags like like it was a conveyor line. And again, we show great unity as a community when you have residents that are coming to get their sandbags and they see the need and they don't ask questions, and they come and they get right in the thick of it with you. And that was very heartfelt, and it was great for the city to experience. And I think only positive things can come from that. I am aware that was the first time we've done sandbags. There's a lot of room for improvement with a lot of things that we've done. I won't dig deep into it. That's something that we need to handle internally. But I do think the idea of doing something last minute and just getting it done, period, is what it's going to take to lead us into the right direction. I especially want to thank the commission for coming here tonight. And I've gotten cursed out a bunch of times over the last 4 days for not going to get someone's plywood personally, to not coming to put it up, and I can go on and on and on. For some reason, people think I work for FP&L. I do not work for FP&L, and I cannot get your power on. I cannot climb in your roof. There are a lot of things that I cannot do, but my social media is absolutely crazy if you go in there and just see the many updates. We lost communication in the EOC, and that was the only way that I could really get the word out to our residents, from who had gas to who had bread, and it was pure pandemonium. It was something that I haven't experienced from a leadership position, but it was something that I embraced, and it was something that was well needed. I mean, yeah, we did accept any and everybody. I gave advice to any and everybody, and we didn't turn anyone down, at least while I was there, for any sand. I know that we have a long way to go to recover, but this is something that I am confident that we will be able to do. We don't have a lot of structural damage, which is a great thing, and we did not flood, as you know, some of our sections of our neighborhoods flood from time to time, but we do have a lot of trees, and some of our notices and ordinances we are going to have to look into in regards to the trees and trimmings and everything that's allowed, because we have a lot of trees with a lot of roots that are uprooted in a lot of places. In Collins Elementary, my God, not only is it flooded, those trees, those big trees, there are like 5 of them down. I don't even know how they're going to go to school next week, to be honest with you. Some of the trees that are fallen in different locations, but I definitely want to thank Brad and Colin and Bob, and you know, I was gonna be right there in the ELC building and stay the night, but then once they said, you know, Mayor, we're having discussion on alternative routes. If the roof falls in or blows off, we're gonna have to go to the garage, and I was like, I'm not staying here. So I stayed as late as I could till the winds picked up and it was no longer safe to drive, and then I drove to safety, and as soon as the smoke cleared, I was back here. So I haven't really slept in the last 4 or 5 days, and I know that I was very concerned being a leader and being elected to serve our residents, and I think most of us, especially the ones who are here, that's exactly what they did, and so I'm proud of you all. I'm proud of you all for absolutely coming tonight, because all of us have different things that we could be doing right now. A lot of us don't have electricity. A lot of us have things that we have to do in our homes, but we decided to be here, and so I commend you all for that. Yeah, so wait, as a commission, we are going to have to decide what we're going to do with this building because we did put our first responders. Very, very difficult situation for it to be leaking, and if we got a direct hit, I am not confident that this building will be standing here. I'm not confident that this roof will be on this building, and I am confident that we will have someone that is injured or having to go in those types of mile-an-hour winds from here to the garage. I don't know who's going to walk over in that wind to the garage. But that's something that is very scary when you think of how blessed we are to not have received a direct hit.
Mayor, I'm not sure who would even stay here again.
I wouldn't.
See, y'all should have followed the lead. I told y'all, let's go. Like, let's let's not stay here. But I appreciate y'all taking one for the team. I'm telling you. Again, things are going to have to be tweaked, like parking. I mean, we opened it up to anybody, any place that wanted to come here and park. And not only did they park in the spaces designated for the commissioners, some people absolutely created their own parking spaces, blocked other people in. They were very inconsiderate. And so these are things that, again, we'll have to work out internally. When we speak about the Daniel Bears, I am unsure of what we can do to have a resolution. Those kids have been working out before the season started, and it is very unfair to punish them for not having an officer present. They only have 2 or 3 pounds. I don't know what we can do. I don't know if it's mandated that they have an officer for 2 games out of the week. I know my son plays for the Daniel Bears, and he's going to be one of the ones that, unfortunately, if it keeps going how it's going, they won't have a season. And so it's something that I really want to get with you, Mark, to see what resolution we can come up with. And
talking about for the balance of
I'm
the
not
season?
Absolutely. I mean, they have 8 games left. They haven't played a game. These are things that, I mean, our Parks and Recreation, in my opinion, is a lifeline for our communities. And we're going to have to bend a little. I'm not sure of what we're going to have to do. We don't have a lot of kids like we had last year. I'm not even seeing a need for 3 officers to pay for 3. They have to pay for 3 officers to be there the entire time. I mean, if they're already saying that they're having trouble for the refs and transportation and all that, that's just an added cost. And if the officers are the reasons that they're not playing, I think that's just very unfair for those small kids because they don't understand anything that we're going through up here or any of the processes that's happening.
We went from 8 teams to 4. So we have 4
and only
teams.
3 play at one night, and then the Super Pee-wees play on a different night.
Right.
And so, I mean,
But there is a safety net that we have to follow because we need someone there in case somebody gets hurt.
if we can find a volunteer
I don't
officer,
know.
is that okay? If we can find someone to volunteer their time as a police officer to be there, I mean, I can ask.
That's something we need to Chief Marks to discuss with us. I mean, another option would be for us to fund, for the city to fund another officer or work out something with BSO.
It's just something that has to be done and quickly because the next game's going to come and there's not going to be a resolution and there
When
is going to be
is the
another
next game? Is it before the next commission meeting?
Next game is away.
Okay, so we have a little time. If the next game is away, they should be able to play that one. I am going to talk about the MLK organization since it was brought to my attention. First of all, that item will not be discussed tomorrow. I don't believe it's on the agenda to be discussed, correct?
I'm sorry,
The MLK Charitable Corporation is not on the agenda to be discussed at our
tomorrow's
budget
your
meeting.
budget hearing. You can discuss anything relative to the budget.
Okay, but is it a line item on the agenda? I didn't see it when I went over it.
It wasn't specified for
No.
discussion.
Okay.
No.
Now, I had the honor of attending the last MLK meeting. Don't know whether or not I was excited after the meeting or not. I do know that currently they have $23,000 in their account, and this is before we're going to give them an additional $15,000. I also know that I saw a handwritten, I guess, treasury report that it didn't have any line items as far as any checks, any balances, any receipts. It was literally handwritten banners, $1,000, tablecloths, $400. Not verbatim, but that's how the handwritten piece of paper read. I know from having my own organization, we consolidate every single month, and everything that goes into that account, everything that goes outside of that account. On top of that, the funding that I guess that y'all give to the scholarships, I believe it's going to be $3,000 this year. So in my math, if I'm taking $3,000 away from $23,000, you have $20,000 to do the rest of, I guess, the program or the events with. My recommendation, there was someone, maybe it was Michael Sarton, that came up and he expressed that if the city does stuff, it doesn't get done right. And I took that as a slap in the face, saying that we can't throw adequate events. I know that the city has thrown a lot of great events, and it was very well attended, and they were first class. And I know we also partnered with private organizations like Stage Right Events that threw the birthday party for Dania Beach, and it was first class, and it was, again, a great event. I do wonder where some of the funds are going. And I also had one of the recipients of the scholarship fund come to me very upset because the monies were taken from her son, and he didn't know it until he was traveling. And so he received $1,000, and then $1,000 were taken from him without his knowledge. And so there is not what everyone thinks on the back of their hand or why we come to the whatever decisions, but I do think that this city is more than capable, like I said before, of throwing an MLK bash on the park. If the charitable organization wants to continue to be in charge of the parade and the other events, by all means, you can feel free to do that. But to have $23,000 before you even start anything, and you charge for every single table, and I just don't know. I just don't understand what you need another $15,000 for if you're only giving $3,000 to the kids. It just doesn't make sense to me. Every other organization has to go out and build relationships and raise money and all these other things. I mean, I know it's a lot of organizations here in Dania Beach that barely get $1,000. And my Tamara James Day, I raise almost $16,000 per year to have that. The city gives my organization, I think, around $1,500. And so I just think that this is a taxpayer's money, and we don't even have an itemized report on where that funding is going. And it's just something that we absolutely need to take a look at. I am a charity person. I will give someone my last. This is not about giving the charity. This is about making sure we are managing the money for our residents here in the city of Dania Beach with their funds and with their taxpayers' money, with the taxpayers' money here in the city of Dania Beach. My last thing I want to discuss, obviously, is, again, the resources that Lori came to give us. I had the honor of walking door to door with Congresswoman and making sure that our residents were prepared for the storm. It was blistering out there. It was very hot. We gave out canisters to be able to fill up with water. We also gave hotline numbers, a lot of numbers for post-storm. We gave a checklist that she had made before the storm. So I would like to thank our Congresswoman for coming down to the city of Dania Beach and walking door to door with me to ensuring that our residents have what they needed. We have a young man, and I can't think of his name, but I will come at the next meeting. He is from Dania Beach, and he played for the Dania Bears, and he is the starting quarterback for a football team. I don't know if you all know it or not, but I don't remember his name. He ended up graduating from Hollandale High School, but he is one of our very own, and he's obviously someone that we need to look out for. So on the next meeting, especially with it being properly televised, I would definitely like to give him a shout out. I would like to thank Louis for manning our Facebook Live. back there because we are having technical difficulties with our system. And again, I would like to thank all the residents for being here because you could have been anywhere else. Now on to appointments. Airport Advisory Board. Vice Mayor, do you have someone? You do not. Anybody out there want to serve on the Airport Advisory Board? Negative. Okay. We'll go past that. And then the Green Advisory Board, we have an alternate position. Do we have anyone for that? Who said me? No one? Okay.
Nothing.
All right. So we don't need do we need a motion for that? No,
No.
since we have nothing. Okay. Administrative reports?
Thank you, Mayor. First, let me say that this hurricane has been a challenge. I think emotionally it's been very draining for everybody because it was so big and powerful. So, that we thank God we escaped with as little damage as we had. It really isn't as bad as it was when Wilma hit us many years ago. But the three aspects of the storm, the pre-storm, during the storm, and post-storm, as long as we're thanking people, I'd like to thank past commissions and this commission and the Ready Conference that we have. If one of the main things, probably the main thing for storm preparation, really has nothing to do with us. It's about the residents and the people to get prepared for the storm, have sufficient water, put their awnings up and all that. And it seems to be paying off. As I go around the community, people have their awnings up. They seem to be prepared for the storm. So I think that funding the Ready Conference and getting the residents ready, I thank them, the commission for doing that, and the residents for getting prepared. The other thing, Commissioner Brandemar in particular, but the whole commission in the past has been, we haven't had a lot of money, but you were insistent upon funding the hurricane reserve. So we do have money in the hurricane reserve. We're prepared, and it's a lot about money and the preparation and being ready to deal with these kind of things when they come. During the storm, the mayor mentioned that. I wanted to thank the commission for being available to me in several ways, 24/7 really, and that is they came by. Some of them spent quite a bit of time at the EOC and driving around the community getting prepared. Others were in touch with me by telephone. And I went over to a couple of their homes and was welcomed very graciously into their homes. And so we were, it was difficult. I already mentioned the fire department. The police department was on top of their game, and a lot of people spending the night here. Brad Kane spent the night, and Joe Oski was in the EOC. Brad was over in the Public Service Building, which is much harder and safer facility than City Hall, as is the police department. But I want to thank Brad. Joe was, he's our IT guy, and he kept everything running pretty well. Even the email and all that was doing well until after the storm, and then we've had problems. Comcast went out, so we really don't have email and phone service at this point. We're dealing with cell phones. But Colin worked very hard, the department head. So anyway, we're not done yet. There's a lot left to do. We are now in the post-storm section or post-storm period of the storm. I wanted you to know the city has no telephone or internet at this time. 911 is working. The residents can call BSO non-emergency number 954-764-4357 for help. City Hall is open for residents for limited services tomorrow to ask questions and request assistance. We were open for limited service this morning as well. And tomorrow night you will actually have a budget hearing. The commission will convene and have your first public hearing on the budget. There is a no boil water advisory for people who are west of I-95. That's county water. The city water, there are no problems. It's clean tap water, good to drink. Tomorrow we will be setting up a pod, if all goes well, for the people out west who need to boil their water. So we're asking that drinking water be preserved for the people out west, because the people on the east side can just turn your faucet on, you'll get good, clean water. For that matter, I don't even know if the bottled water, it could even be bottled tap water that we're giving to the people out there, but it is safe drinking water. Your garbage will be, your normal garbage service will resume tomorrow. Recycling and bulk garbage pickup is suspended for the time being. And we ask that you cut up any debris and place it curbside in your soil. The beach has restricted access. Please do not go to our beach. There's electrical lines down, and there is threat of electrocution, and it's just not safe to go there. P.J. Mealy and Frost Park buildings are closed. C.W. Thomas Park building is open. The Frost Park playground is closed due to a downed wire and tree. You can check the city's Facebook page for updates and to communicate with the city. Broward County information is 311 for Broward County updates. Let's see. We have been working with Congressman Wasserman Schultz's office. I think the mayor was working on the things she mentioned, but we've been in touch with them on issues concerning FEMA, making sure we get full FEMA reimbursement for our expenses. And so thanks, everyone. We're not done yet. Keep doing a good job, and that's all I have.
As I mentioned at the CRA meeting, Brad Kane came to me, the Public Services Director, late last week, just to ensure that we, in addition to Ms. Rosamund Schultz, our U.S. Congresswoman, that we work with our lobbyist, Josh Gabaton. We have a contract with him under the CRA. I propose that we amend his contract tonight at no additional cost. He's offered to do it. I spoke with him today to help us for the next 2 weeks until a new contract with the city to enlist his services as a lobbyist in Washington, D.C. can be finalized. But he's offered to do it under his current contract with the CRA if I can do a slate amendment to it tonight. So I just need a motion to approve a slate amendment, no cost to the city.
Do we have a motion to amend?
So moved.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay, thank you.
That's it. Vice Mayor?
Emmanuel George, thank you for your social media savvy and getting the word out to everybody about what's what and who has water and who has power. I want to really thank you for that. So I'm glad you're on our team, and it's a team, so thank you for that.
Yes, ma'am? You have to come to the podium, please. It's okay. Please state your name and address for the record.
Lorraine Raffanello, 121 Southeast 3rd Avenue, Dania Beach. I just want to thank the city and this commission for providing the sandbag. It saved my patio.
Oh, I'm so happy.
I get water when we get rain. I mean, just plain rain. It was a challenge with the sandbag, but they saved it. I usually get rattling, you know. It was the best thing that we could have done.
Oh, I'm so happy to hear that.
And the young people that were there helping my husband put them in. I mean, it was like one big family helping each other, and we appreciate it so much.
That's what it's all about.
What do I do with the wet sandbags now? But thank all of you so much.
Wait a minute, Mayor?
Commissioner?
Yes. One of the ladies, Carol Styrocki, that works out at the patch, says she would love it if anybody would like to donate that sand to the patch.
So I'll make, you want to tell them to drop it off at the patch? Because it's going to be the drop-off place.
I guess so, because she said that they can use that out there at the
Okay.
patch.
Okay. Yeah, I can't tell you enough how many compliments we got on that sand. Understand that it was a little unorganized just because we decided to do it. I kind of hounded and against, I kind of hounded them to do it very last minute. When I say last minute, with not even 24 hours notice. And so they really pulled it together really fast and got it out there. And so just to hear that it saved one person's patio, I know it saved a lot, because a lot of people came from different cities, from Miami all the way from Pompano to get our sandbags. And it gave the city of Dania Beach a very, very good name. And so I'm very happy to hear that. City Clerk?
Just a few reminders. Tomorrow night at 5:01 p.m. will be the first budget public hearing. Tuesday, September 19th at 5:01 p.m. will be the second budget public hearing. And Tuesday, September 26th at 6 p.m. will be a CRA board meeting, followed by a 7 p.m. City Commission meeting.
All right.
Okay?
All right.
Meeting adjourned.